Previously on agentpalmer.com, genius and anxiety sets the record straight on a perilous century. Good night, Max. You will be missed. And in order to combat the high anxiety that may have arrived upon hearing about Zapata's lack of balance, we're going to chill out for a bit. This is the Palmer Files, episode 94, with the return of Robert Eskra to talk about what we do when we have free time. And as you'll hear, we discuss the exorbitant abundance of things to do and consume with the, by comparison, minute time we have to do them. Plus, being a collector of hobbies, world building, naps, soaring, and much more. Are you ready? Let's do the show! Hello and welcome to the Palmer Files. I'm your host, Jason Stersick, also known as Agent Palmer, and on this 94th episode is my friend, Robert Eskra. He's back to bring some balance to the podcast. Last episode, we discussed a lack of balance in work and life with Jason Zapata, focusing on the work side. Rob is here to talk about what we can do when we have the limited free time we have. So you'll hear us talk about the things we listen to and how we consume books in certain ways, what we watch, and how too many options leads to less doing the thing and more of wasting the time. All of that and a whole lot more is coming your way shortly. But first, remember, if you want to discuss this episode as you listen or afterwards, you can find all contact information for Rob and myself in the show notes. You can also watch Rob's online shenanigans on his Twitch or YouTube channels. Both links can also be found in the show notes for your convenience. Don't forget, all of my writings and rantings can be found on agentpalmer.com. And of course, email can be sent to thepalmerfiles@gmail.com. So without further ado, let's get into it. Rob, you're a busy guy. I think we covered the law school bit in the last time you were on, but you were a busy guy then, and then you got into the working world and you were a busy guy, and we went through the career changes, but you've always been busy. So I want to talk to you about free time. Mm-hmm. I love music. I also love podcasts.
Yeah.
It's really hard to listen to music and podcasts.
I have that problem. So I think we mentioned this last time I was on, where I'm a collector of hobbies.
Yes, you are.
And that is one of the biggest frustrations in life is, okay, I have, especially now that I have kids, it's like I have an hour. What do I do with it?
Well, okay, so that's important to what I was getting at, because like I also have a finite amount of time between all of the things I am doing. Like I might not be employed full time, but I have all these little projects. So like time to myself is like, okay, maybe it's more than yours. Like I get 3 hours, but like, it's like I don't want to put words in your mouth, but for me, there's like this paralysis of like, I have this time, but I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah.
And every moment I'm not making a decision is a moment I'm not doing whatever I decide to do.
Absolutely. It's because then there becomes this like, okay, you're paralyzed by choice. There are too many things that like I want to do.
Yeah.
And so I have to pick one, but which one do I pick? And then, dwelling upon the fact that you're spending 15 minutes of your, again, for me, like an hour.
Yeah.
And then at a certain point, like if you go too far, then you're like, well, I'm just going to fucking sit here, because especially like if I wanted to play a video game, well, now I only have a half hour. And but getting into it, I'm going to want it. And then I'm sorry, I'm just going to sit here. And same thing with like a book. Like I'd want to finish like a chapter or two, and I'm not going to finish 3 pages and then stop. Right.
I find that with books all the time. Like I only have 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like maybe I would read more books. Like I read pretty good. Like I read a decent amount of books. Maybe I'd read more if I was like, read a page and a half. But I feel like like reading, kind of like a lot of things, like you get into a flow. Like what's the flow of I read 15 pages in the last 4 hours, like a page and a half at a time?
There are like, yeah, there's like two types of readers, and I think both of you and I are both kind of like, we need to like have a bit of time to
Yeah.
read. Like one of my colleagues at work currently, I had this conversation with him, and he has a Kindle on his phone, and so when he's like standing in line for coffee, he'll just start reading. He'll like, even if it's like a paragraph or two, but he
Oh,
burns through books like crazy.
no, like because like, all right, I pick up a book. We're going to we're going to do an example here. Like I pick up a book and I start reading for like the beginning of a chapter, and then you call me.
Yeah.
I put the book down. I'm going to start the chapter over. Like I'm not, I got a paragraph in.
So I will say that I ingest a lot of my literature via audiobook now.
Okay.
And it's better to pick up and, okay, I have to just run to the store, right? Or I did this in the past week, right? We ordered pizza. I'm going to go pick it up. It's a 10-minute drive down and back. And so I listened to 10 minutes. And it's all I need to do is rewind the past 30 seconds to remember where I was.
Okay.
And I can move 10 minutes forward in the book.
Okay, but if you pick up a physical book, read a paragraph, and I call you.
Yeah, no, I got to start at least that page over.
Okay.
At least the page, depending upon the density of the book. Yeah, potentially the chapter.
So I wanted to talk about the music and podcast thing for a moment, because for me, it is, it's like the worst conundrum, especially for me, because I'm a writer and I'm editing podcasts now. So it's not like while I'm working, I can listen to stuff. Like that's just not possible.
Yeah.
So
unless it's like, well, maybe like lo-fi or something like that, something without lyrics.
I don't, yeah. I mean, I don't really.
It doesn't do anything for
it. Doesn't do it for me.
I found it works for me for working, or like I could put in, again, different type of work, right? Yeah. Grading, I can put on that, or even like a Twitch stream. Sometimes I'll throw on a Twitch stream and that'll work. But
yeah, occasionally I'll put on a Twitch stream, but really low, like just kind of like as a visual aid or something.
Yeah,
to look at.
Yeah, exactly. Even sometimes it's so low. It's like, remember that like when you were a kid being put to sleep in the conversation in the other room. Yep. It's barely audible. Yeah.
But like, music makes me happy, but I still enjoy podcasts, and I find this weird balance of like I might be a happier person if I just listen to a lot more music, but I don't want to give up listening to the podcast. Like, I don't know. I guess it's a statement of fact, Rob. I don't want to give up podcasts, even if it will make me happier. Right.
Well, yeah, but that's like giving up social media, right? I get that though. I've never been the type of person that can just sit there and listen to an album.
Oh, I can do that. I can.
I can never do that. I enjoy, the way I've always enjoyed music is usually while doing something else, right?
Okay.
And so like driving or running, or like when I was a kid, I used to ride my bike and throw on like my CD player in my pocket and fucking go for a ride.
You are brave, man. I did it with a Walkman. I never I was like, I can't stand the skipping with the Discman, so it's always a Walkman.
I had a really good Discman that had a really damn decent anti-skip feature, and I swear to God, that's how I learned every lyric to like Streetlight Manifesto.
Okay.
It was like, yeah. Well, Everything Went Numb. That was the album that I listened to for weeks on end. I swear to God. And that's also something I do. When I get a good CD, I will listen to it for weeks. Nothing else, just that, until I have like every song basically down, and like I almost grow tired of it, and then I move on.
You still do that?
I haven't in a long time, because I've moved on to like, podcast. I don't remember the last time I've bought an album or like discovered a new band. I think the last album I bought was for Jessica, and this was several years ago. It was for Christmas or a birthday or something like that. It was because I bought tickets to the group, so I packaged it with an album.
I mean, I know streaming has changed it because like I don't really buy new music that much.
Yeah.
But I think I can name the last album I bought.
Oh, I can name the what the album is in the band.
But it's also been a very, like, this is going to date me immensely when I tell you what this is.
Yeah, go for it.
The last album I bought might be the most anticipated album in the last 50 years. It's not the best. It's the most anticipated.
What's it? Is it a Weezer album?
No, Chinese Democracy by Guns N' Roses.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't great, but it was the most anticipated because we'd heard about it.
Oh my God, they're coming out with a new album.
Finally.
Yeah.
It's actually happening. No, really?
Yeah, no, I get that though. I get that.
And I don't think I've purchased physical media since then. For music. With the exception of, I think I bought Guardians of the Galaxy's soundtrack on vinyl.
Yeah.
But I don't count that because that's like more of a collector thing than like
that. Yeah. I do like having the fidelity of a good CD. I also, because my car is very analog, like I have a base model Mustang from 2012. So like I still, in order to plug in my phone, I need to do like the audio jack.
Yeah.
It has zero Bluetooth.
Mine, right? I have a 2005 Mazda 3. My CD player broke. So there's 3 CDs stuck in the CD player. So I can't use that, but I did buy the fake Bluetooth. So you like it uses Bluetooth with your phone to go to a radio signal.
Oh, that's weird.
And then you plug this thing in and it powers it to a radio signal in your car.
Oh, that's strange.
And you can tune it. So like if you're in a place where like a certain frequency is already your station, you can tune it to something that's not. And
but
then
it
you
only has like 4 frequencies or something that it like.
Oh no, you can literally use the entire spectrum. It's just, whatever's better for you at the time. But like,
yeah, that's honestly pretty cool. But
it's, I haven't used it in so long. I just listen to radio now, I guess.
I honestly, I do listen to. I've turned into one of those people who actually like checks NPR every once in a while.
NPR is the first thing on.
I really like NPR talk radio specifically.
It's not bad. My local station's got. I mean, I guess full disclosure, I'm on the local board for my local station, so like that's not. I mean,
a little biased.
I listened to it before then though, but we have some like decent like local arts and culture stuff.
Oh, okay.
I'm
talking like the big NPR stuff.
Oh no, like
wait, don't tell me and shit.
I should definitely probably check out the stuff more often than I do. Like, so if any of you on the board with me that are listening, like, I'm sorry, but like but it's the first thing. And then like, if it's not news, if it's just music or whatever, then I'll just, maybe classic rock or something like that. I used to listen to podcasts in the car when I had a commute, and I don't even do that anymore. Like,
a commute helps with like the catching up on podcasts and audiobooks, definitely. Cause it's like anything under 15 minutes. Again, I've had the 2 extremes. When I worked at Lackawanna, it was 7 minutes door to door. So it's like, it's really hard to get into anything in 7 minutes. Whereas like Keystone it's 20 minutes to a half hour, depending upon the time of day.
Yeah.
And that's much better. That's like a good solid chunk of time that you can really get into something.
Now, I know that podcasts can lead to audiobooks and audiobooks can lead to podcasts. I know that works both ways.
Yes.
But I wanted to ask, what got you into the audio form to begin with? Like, I can't get into, like, while I love podcasts, I just cannot do audiobooks. I don't know what it is.
I could probably tell you the first audiobook I listened to.
Was it recent? Has it been a while?
What's that?
Was it recent or has it been a while?
No, the first time I started listening to audiobooks, which I don't know if it was I think I started with audiobooks and then went to podcasts because I had like a free trial to Audible.
Okay.
And they give you like a credit, right? That's the free sample.
Yeah.
Right. Which gets you hooked. So I was at the time I was working up at the law office, which I've talked about.
Yep.
And I was commuting well over half an hour, right? Again, 40 minutes some days an hour. And so just anything to pass the time, because I started out having satellite radio, and then I got a car that didn't have that.
Okay.
And satellite radio was great because like you had like a whole bunch of stuff that you can listen to. And the cool thing about the thing I had was that like you can save favorite songs and favorite artists. And so like it would constantly scan all of the channels, and if one of your it would give you a notification on the screen saying like, hey, this song is playing. So you could like click and hear the song, right? It wasn't like you needed to wait. It was great, right? So I listened to that. The stand-up comedy channels were like fucking killer, like 9 a.m. driving. Yeah, it was great. But eventually I lost that. So I was like, I need something. And Audible gave me the free trial. And at the time, Nick Offerman had wrote a book.
Okay.
Called Paddle Your Own Canoe. I'm looking at it right now. And it was like his autobiography. It was like his memoir.
And did he do the audiobook himself?
He did.
Okay.
And it's fascinating. He's led a fascinating life. And it was an awesome experience. And then I remember always wanting to read I Am America and So Can You by Stephen Colbert. And so I downloaded the audiobook, which is read by Stephen Colbert because he won a Grammy for it.
Okay.
And which was also amazing. And then America Again, Becoming the Greatness We Never Weren't, also by Stephen Colbert, which was the sequel to it. So it's like it was listening to Stephen Colbert in character read you this like satirical book about like social issues. It was great. It was awesome. And then the next logical jump was to try to get into books. And the first one I went to was World War Z by Max Brooks. And the great thing is about the audiobook is that it's fully cast.
It's on my shelf. I haven't read it. I haven't watched the movie.
So I've never read the book and I haven't watched the movie.
Okay.
But I will wholeheartedly endorse the audiobook version of it. And now it's abridged. So it's a shortened version of the book. It is only 6 hours long.
Okay.
Whereas most audiobooks usually are around 12. Right. So this is only 6 hours long. It's a rather short one. So he cherry picks chapters from it. But the way that I'm assuming the way that the book is done is very much like the audiobook is done, is that the author, who is Max Brooks, acts as kind of like this investigator that is interviewing people post apocalypse, right? Like after recovery has begun.
Okay.
But everybody he interviews is like another actor, and there's like Alan Alda's in it, Simon Pegg's in it. Like it's this awesome cast of characters, and it is so well done.
So I gotta ask then, because I'm thinking, sitting here going like, I believe that book was a gift from someone to me. Like I did not, I didn't buy it, but here it is in my library, so to speak. Mm-hmm. How do you come to World War Z? Like, was it a movie at the time? Like, had you just heard of it? Did somebody suggest it? Like,
no, I think I want to say, and again, I don't know exactly how I came upon it. I want to say it was I was browsing, and it was like one of the things that was kind of like just being sold to me at the time.
Okay,
but seeing that it was fully cast was interesting to me.
Sure,
right? And so that's and I mean, I always guess I always sort of wanted to read it.
Okay.
And then having it fully cast was like kind of like it's different, you know?
Yeah.
And it is. It's very much like a radio drama.
I keep thinking that, especially when I edit this podcast or like edit other podcasts, especially because a lot of the stuff I do is like talk radio, like not just this show, with the exception of like the solo episodes and that, but like for the most part, this is talk radio, right? And
oh yeah, absolutely.
I go back to the last time I was on the campus that you teach on, and I was pitching my senior or defending my senior project, which is a 1 hour radio narrative, basically, which obviously I re-recorded for this podcast, but like it was a narrative and
the story that you wrote
and recorded and put music to. Like I did all the things, and yet I think I've done like 4 of them for this podcast in like almost 100 episodes, and like I don't know where the disconnect is. I don't honestly believe that this is easier or harder. It's just different. I just haven't done it. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
I got away from it, I guess.
I'm not a writer. I wish I was.
Oh, you could be look, you went to law school. Come on.
It's creative writing is different from like analytical writing though. So like, I can do analytical writing. I'm not all that creative. Like I was a musician, right? I mean, you never stop being a musician.
No.
But like I could read music and perform that stuff, and I was in jazz band. I can't improv.
Well,
I'm not that hot on improv.
All right, but what I will tell you is this. Okay. I'm not really a creative writer anymore. It's mainly the blog.
Yeah.
But to that same, I don't know, in that same vein, I could probably veer right back into it pretty easily. And if you've written at all, it's not. We're talking about degrees of separation. We're not like you just have to sit down and do it,
and that's it. I'm sure it's a practiced skill as well too. Well, just like improv is.
They all are.
It's a practice skill. I'm not practiced in it. I'd like to. I would. I'm not great at world building though, so like I would struggle there.
You don't have to. Write a short story. Like
yeah,
that's
it. The short stories and the shit that I like to read. I'll not even stuff that I have to read, but like the media that I enjoy, the fictional media that I enjoy, is usually something that you can tell there is a world behind it.
Okay.
Somebody went in, did the work to create the world, just isn't showing you all of it. So like, I'll give you a perfect example.
Yeah.
Right? And now, so this is the John Wick movies, right? The first one showed you this glimpse of this world that like John Wick's character lives in.
Oh, yep,
right.
Yep.
And it did it beautifully in a way that it was like there were like these little elements that you're like, oh fuck, I wonder what that means and where did that come from? And that's a really cool thing, like the rules with the hotels and the golden coins and all of that, right? And now, as the movies have progressed, they've expanded upon.
Yeah. Don't. By the way, I'm horrible. I own the third movie. Still haven't watched the third movie.
Which is the third one? The one with Halle Berry?
I don't know. The third one's called subtitled Parabellum.
Yes, that's the one with Halle Berry. That's the last one because the fourth one's coming out.
The fourth one's coming out as we. Yeah. Because I watched the first one. I watched the second one. I enjoyed them both, and I bought the third one. And you know, it goes. We started this with like that abundance of choice and that paralysis. Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, Steph and I together have less free time than either one of us have separately, obviously.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And we want to watch most of those things together.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do you want to watch tonight? I don't know. Like, here's the 5 things that we want to watch together, and neither of us feel like any of it. So we're just going to watch something else. Like,
yeah, we only have an hour, so we'll just throw on fucking Elementary or like, yeah, something stupid, just turn our brains off, and then by 9:30 you're asleep anyways.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's we don't have a kid, and I feel like, you know, if depending on how things go,
if you ever do, just whatever free time you do have just disappears. At least for the first year. Now we did the 2 kids, so it was like we had Rowan and things were getting easier, and then a second one, sure.
This isn't tough enough.
Well, with the idea in mind, get all of the hard shit out of the way, because like there's like, oh, do it, and then you have 3 or 4 years apiece, and then you do it again. Just get it all out of the way, and now it's all downhill from here, right? All the hard shit's done. Both kids sleep through the night now, which is great, right? So we don't ever need to worry about the whole like doing the sleepless nights again, which is ecstatic. I'm ecstatic about that.
I mean, I don't know how much of this I really said on the show, but like I go through bouts of insomnia that like I think I can. I know what you've gone through, right? Like it's one of those things where like I've functioned so well during the day or faked it enough that like people don't know when unless I tell them. People don't know I didn't sleep the night before. Now, the difference being it comes 7 p.m.
Oh yeah.
You're a different person after not having slept and faked it through the day than you are having actually slept through the night.
I think the beauty of having the kids is that you don't need to fake it during the day. Like you can just admit, no, I didn't sleep because I have children. And people are like, oh, word. All right.
Yeah. People get really, it's a great weird dichotomy, right? Because like people be like, oh, Rob, the kids kept you up fine. And they'll be like, oh, Jason, what's wrong with you?
Yeah,
why didn't you sleep? Right. Like you could have been up for the same reason I was, but like you have kids. So like you get a pass, and me, they're like, is everything, are you okay?
Yeah.
What's wrong?
Do you need help? Like like I'm a night owl. I'm a bit of a night owl. Usually I think my bedtime's usually midnight.
Have you always been a night owl though?
I want to say yes. I want to say yeah. Because I'm a night owl who can get up in the morning, which is weird. I
used to be a night owl who could get up in the morning.
Yeah. I
am now a morning person.
Oh, I'm definitely not a morning person.
Yeah, no, I now find that whereas like in college, fresh out of college, I would have done much better starting at 10 o'clock at night and going till 2 a.m. Now I'm better getting up at 5, making a pot of coffee, and then like getting everything done before noon. Like I'm now that person. I will agree with you that generally I do need to get most of my work done before noon because in the afternoon I'm useless. I am absolutely useless in the afternoon. Why? What happened to us?
For me personally, I can only speak to my own experience.
No, I want you to explain why I can't get anything done in the afternoon, Rob.
In the afternoon, specifically for me, it's after lunch, I'm tired, right? And then like the eating makes me sleepy.
Okay.
So after lunch, I'm tired. Takes me a little bit. And then it's like, okay, so there's one day a week in which I get to like just sit and do work, right?
Okay.
My current schedule is Tuesdays and Thursdays is all classes. Wednesday is my work day. I work in the basement and we have the nanny up with the kids. And so for me personally, I wake up like at the kids' schedule. They wake up between 6:30 and 7 every day. Weekend, weekday, doesn't matter. 6:30 and 7 is when you're getting up.
Yep.
And so you wake up with them, you spend time kind of just trying to keep them cozy in the bed for a bit and using various techniques. For the baby, it's easy. Pop a bottle in his mouth. For Rowan, it's sad to say, he likes watching Hot Wheels videos on YouTube.
Okay.
And so like we say, come getting cozy in bed, we'll throw on a little video, right? I know, screen time, boo-hoo, whatever. All these psychologists don't have kids.
I was gonna say, yeah, I'm not a parent, but I know enough parents to know like you do what works. Like
you do at this age, you do what you have to survive.
Yeah, theories don't help you.
And we're very cognizant. It's like, it's not like I just hand them the tablet or the TV and just let them go for hours and hours and hours a day. No, we do try to limit it as best we can. But, there are times in the day, it's just like, here's the thing. I need to clean the dishes.
Yeah.
Like you need to like not be running around the house for 10 minutes. And so, but anyways, like in the mornings, that's like, you just come lay with us, be cozy, whatever, right? And that gives us a half hour or so. And then you're getting up and you need to change everybody's diaper. You need to take the dog out. You need to feed the dog. You need to get yourself coffee. Make sure that the kids are content. And then if you're lucky, you get 10 or 15 minutes to like browse the internet and wake up yourself. And so that is on Wednesdays. By that time, our nanny is here. And so I can take like a good solid half hour of just sitting on the couch, like waking up. And then by 8:30, I'm downstairs, or I take a shower and get downstairs, right? So by 9 o'clock at the latest, I'm downstairs ready to work. And you know, I answer my emails, I grade, I post stuff on the whatever LMS on Moodle, which is what we use, and get as much stuff done as I can by, you know, noon, and go up, eat lunch, and then after lunch I'm sleepy, and I know that in like, because it's what 1:30, in like 2 hours, in 2 hours the nanny's going to be leaving. And then it's me to watch the kids. And so it's like, I have 2 hours free time.
Yeah.
I've gotten most of my work done. I do have a couple things that I could do, but do I want to?
Yeah.
Or do I want to just enjoy not having to like think about my children for a little bit?
Yeah. No, mine's slightly different. I'm not tired after lunch. But for some reason, taking the time to stop and eat destroys my motivation. It's almost like I have a motivation train, and lunch doesn't slow it down. It just derails it completely.
Well, yeah.
And I find myself being like, well, I don't feel like doing anything anymore. Like that. Well,
it's a hard stop to your day. Like stop, cook, or make yourself lunch, sit down, eat it, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're doing something shitty that you microwave for yourself and then come and sit down at your desk, which I have done, and usually it gives me like a little bit more productivity. But
but at what cost? I guess.
Well, that's the thing.
Right?
At what cost? Your health, right?
Yeah.
So I agree. Now Mondays and Fridays are terrible because like I'm alone with the kids for most of the day, and their nap schedules are off. So like Asher, the youngest, he has 2 naps a day. Rowan has 1. Rowan's 1 nap starts somewhere between 1 and 2. Okay. Asher's, he takes a nap in the morning, and then 3 hours after he wakes up, he needs another nap. Well, he usually goes to sleep somewhere at around 10, wakes up around noon, right? So then Rowan will go down between 1 and 2. Asher's not going down until probably close to 3. At which point, 3:30, 4 o'clock rolls around, Rowan's waking up. And so you get 1 hour during the day. And at 3 o'clock, when I've not done shit, I can't get into work. No. Mondays and Fridays are wasted days for me. So I don't get anything done.
Let me ask about naps real quick. Obviously, kids can nap. They're generally tired, cranky, or excited.
Not my kids, but yes, they are generally tired. Yes, gotcha.
Can you nap? Or could you? Like, I've never been.
Not purposely.
Okay.
I have napped when it's like
you're sick.
When it happens is when, because it's this weird thing, and it happens to both Jess and I. Now Jess can nap like crazy. She can, like, if she has 10 minutes, she'll pass the fuck out. I don't know. Will she be
functional after? Like, because
she needs a little, depending upon the length of the nap, she needs a little bit of reboot time.
I can't. If I fall asleep for even 5 minutes in the middle of the day, I can't sleep all night.
Oh, well, no, it's never, for me, the way the naps come, it's specifically if one of the children is on my lap on the couch.
Yep.
There's, I guess it's oxytocin or whatever flows through my brain, and I just pass out. Like my eyes will start to fade, and as long as they're cozy, I will close my eyes and I'll doze off and fall asleep easily. But that's the only time anymore.
Could you nap before, like college?
No, I was never a napper.
Yeah.
I wish I was, because I'd get tired, but The only other time that I did nap was while studying for the bar because it was just an exhausting endeavor. And there, Jess has a really good picture of me. We were in a study room and I had just done like a 5-hour energy, like literally just threw one back.
Yeah.
Kind of sat back in my chair, closed my eyes, and fell asleep.
It's not really a good commercial for 5-hour energy.
It was, again, it's just that by virtue of like how exhausting that process is of like, you're studying for 8 hours a day. So it was like the bar exam was a unique experience that I don't think I can emulate
So
again.
when you do get a chance to decide, like, I have a half hour, I have an hour.
Yeah.
Do you, this is such a loaded question, but like, I find myself hating the fact that I have so many options with what to do with. Like, I almost miss when it was like dial up internet, the 3 video games that can fit on your hard drive, or like a book or a CD, and not like, well, which streaming platform do you want to peruse now?
Yes. No, so yes. Just to answer your question quickly, yes,
Yeah,
I do.
of course.
I hate the fact that there is so the solution to that I've found is I try to early in the day kind of make up in my mind what I'm going to look forward to for when I have the free time. Recently it's been I've gotten into playing a flight sim called DCS World. It's a military combat flight sim that's, I guess, what they call a study level sim, where it's like you want to fly an F-18. Well, you're going to learn how to turn the shit on, right?
It's
like
not just going to be A takes you off.
Literally, like if you went and downloaded an F-18 like user's manual, that's the instruction for the game. Right. Now, luckily, there's many people out there who have created videos and guides and shit so that you can do it. And like, if you sat me in the cockpit of an F-18, I could probably figure out how to turn it on. Right. Because it's the simulation of the thing is that accurate. Right.
Yeah.
And so, but that's like, because the reason I've been into that is because during the day, when I do have the 10 or 15 minutes, I can watch a tutorial video.
Okay.
And then at night, when I have the 2 hours, I can put it into practice in the game.
Do you have any?
I find it infinitely enjoyable.
Do you have any actual interest in flying? Not like an F-18, but like in flying.
In flying, oh yeah, absolutely. Like when I was a kid, when after 9/11, all of us wanted to join the military, right? And
no.
Maybe it was just me and maybe it was just Dunmore High School. Who knows? Because Dunmore High School was unique. It's kind of in the, it's right next to Scranton, but they perceive themselves as like bumblefuck, right? And so like, there was part of that like patriotic kind of nationalist side of me that is like, fuck yeah, right, I'm gonna join the military. And thinking about which branch I wanted to join, it was like, well, the Air Force. I want to be a fighter pilot, right?
Okay.
I like Top Gun. I still like Top Gun. Like the most recent Top Gun was a fucking awesome movie.
Yeah.
And I saw that one in just as an aside, I saw that one in theaters with one of my buddies. And it was the first time I'm back in theaters, obviously since the pandemic. But I came out of that movie and I was like, I'm joining the Navy. Like I fell for the propaganda hard. And actually that's what got me into this game again. And that's why I've been playing it ever since. But yeah, no, I've always sort of had kind of like this sort of tangential interest in flying. I've always wanted to learn to fly, but it's expensive.
I find myself, look, self-reflection for me is always a problem because I'm going to find conundrums. Like that's what I find most of the time. Like, for example, I am in love with the idea of like NASA and space and the old Apollo missions. And I love airplanes and helicopters. I don't want to be in them. I just want to watch them. That's it. That's the extent of it. I love them. I don't find them mysterious, but I find them attractive, and but I want to watch from afar. I don't want to fly it. I want to watch it. That's it. The best example I can give you is I grew up with, Airwolf and Knight Rider and like all that kind of stuff. I don't want to fly Airwolf. I want to
No.
watch it.
Yeah,
Cool.
I want to watch it. And I'm one of those people who loves learning about that stuff too, because like I find it fascinating, like the design and how it's evolved over time, and
Sure.
like
Yeah.
and it's the technology that's used and all those things, right? And I'm enjoying it now because I'm doing it in the comfort of my own home. But like you look at the actual size of a cockpit of like even an F-14, which is like a giant fucking plane,
Yeah.
right? Like the thing is huge. It's the size of like a city bus. But the cockpit that you're in, like you can't move your arms.
No. Like I guess the best example for, especially because we're recording this in early spring, is like the form-fitting like aerodynamics of an F1 cockpit, where like you're jammed in there and they're trying to mold it to you. It's the same thing, despite the fact that like an F-16 is that much larger than an F1 car, right? Like
it's still the same sort of concept. Absolutely.
The cockpit's still tiny.
I am uncomfortable in my car for a half hour. I can't imagine getting into an aircraft and flying for 4 hours each way.
I mean, I guess a Cessna then, maybe, like, let's get you out of the jet. Let's just put you in a kind of...
Yeah, I would like something bigger where it's like, and Cessnas, it's like, that's like a car. Like the cockpit's like still smaller, but it's, you at least have a second seat so you can stretch your legs out a little bit. No, I for, what was it? It was like maybe a couple months ago, I got into like deep diving on YouTube for a bit. And there's like a whole community of people who do the, the gliding.
Yeah.
They tape them. They film themselves doing it. And there are people who go on like 8-hour trips, like just gliding, unpowered flight. It's nuts what they can do with those things. And those things are like, again, it's fascinating, and apparently it's fairly cheap to like get lessons. There's a place 45 minutes away from me which I can go and learn how to do that shit, and like you pay like $100 and they'll take you up that day, spend 2 hours in the sky. I would try in a heartbeat.
But is it as exciting to you as like the plane, like the mechanics? Like, I mean, the mechanics of flight are basically the same.
Yeah.
But
now again, the things that you can do in like, a fighter jet are a hell of a lot more like cool up here.
Yeah, in your brain,
like in your head. But like pulling 9 Gs, even like 3 Gs would be like difficult and uncomfortable. Whereas like I could, if I wanted to, I can go drive 45 minutes down south, right, closer to Jersey. There's this airfield in which they do it. They tow you behind a Cessna.
Okay.
They get you up to 10,000 feet and they let you loose. And you just fly in circles for an hour or two. And then you land. And it's like you still get that experience of like, they call it soaring.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
The verb that they use for the hobby. But it's like you still get that. And you can still like they have racing events with it too. Where like, and it's not you're not going like 600 knots.
Yeah.
But you're still traveling, like, I think the top speed of one of those things, like for like the really designer ones, like they can still fly like 180 knots, which is fucking fast.
That's just insane. I'm
like, can you imagine, like unpowered, you're still going close to 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, well, that's the problem for me, is because it's unpowered, so I'm not slowing. Like it's not even like skiing where like you can do the whole pizza thing and slow down. Like
they're designed in a way that basically for every 100 feet you travel forward, you only drop about a foot.
But what if you want to slow down?
The vertical, and so this is why I got into like the deep dive on YouTube, is because if once you get really good at it, right? Once you become experienced, you could essentially stay in the sky as long as you want to by virtue of using updrafts.
Sure.
And the real art of it is spotting the updrafts, because apparently once you know what to look for, they're really easy to spot as long as the conditions are right. And so like you go out on a day when you're like, all right, these are the conditions where like I can find them fairly easily. and you could go and there's this one guy, I can't remember his name, but he did a circuit. Essentially, he basically flew the entire length of Germany, like from one end of the country to the other, in this unpowered aircraft, because he just kept finding the spots where he can. And what he would do is he'd find a spot with a good updraft, and he'd go in circles to get some altitude, and then he'd
move on to the next one,
and he'd cruise, and he'd find the next one and do the same thing. It's nuts. It's insane what some of those things. And now, like, obviously that's not anything that I would be looking forward to do, but I'd love to just be out, even just to go and fly in a couple circles for like an hour or two. It would be awesome.
It's you talk about this deep dive, and it's one of the things that I feel like YouTube does right.
Oh yeah. It knows how to keep you. That's for sure.
Meanwhile, I'm like, my YouTube algorithm is still just like Minecraft videos.
Mine is all fucked because of my children. It's mostly kids stuff now.
Oh, how? I mean, you don't have a separate profile for them, so you could have your own.
I should have done it once upon a time, but it's too late now.
I mean, you could start your own profile, I guess.
Well, I have my own That's the thing is all of my devices are signed into that.
Oh no! I mean, like you could start over again with like your own, like I'm my Rob, my new Rob profile where I can get stuff for me again.
No, that's too much of a hassle. I know eventually they'll get their own, and it'll just revert back eventually. But it's for right now. I'm just dealing with the fact that my YouTube algorithm is all sorts of fucked, which is a blessing, and it's in a way that, like, you know, it can't suck me in.
Okay.
Because I'm not interested in most of the stuff it's offering me.
I mean, you do also get to see what your kids are. I mean, I guess that's the other thing too. Like anything that's not for you is probably being algorithmed for your kids, and you get to see that when you load it up.
It's all kids' songs. It's this. I also have subscribed to a couple particular channels that it seems like we always kind of lend to. One of them is this channel called 20 Trucks, which it's a father whose kid loved trucks, and so he wrote songs about trucks, and then he started posting them, and he's now like, I mean, the videos have millions of views because of kids like my son Rowan will watch. He'll call them out by name. He knows like the bucket truck, right? You know, the cherry pickers?
Yeah.
Right? There's a song about bucket trucks. And he'll want to, in the morning, bucket truck. All right, put on bucket truck. And he'll sit there and the song, bucket truck, bucket truck. Like that's the song. But they're educational too, because then they teach you about what the trucks do.
Yeah. Okay.
And so like there's that one. There's like what is it? The road roller, what's the one that he's into recently? The tunnel boring machine. Like, you know, the big fucking things that they used to take the subways?
Yeah.
Like there's a song on that one. It's fascinating.
Man, oh man. Like I'm kind of happy that we didn't have this, but at the same time, like I'm kind of jealous because like that would have been cool to have like that kind of new.
I'm definitely more jealous than I am, like, because I remember having like the VHS of like the trucks,
like
big trucks for kids or whatever.
Yeah, but that's all. It wasn't. First of all, it was like 45 minutes.
Yeah,
it wasn't even a full like 90. They're not even using like the full tape.
45 minutes, and you'd burn through it. You'd watch it over and over and over again. Eventually, the tape was done.
Now, I do want to ask, because I don't have kids, and I've always thought, like, well, if I have a kid, like, I'm going to try and get them to, like, watch my kids' stuff. Have you made this attempt? Like, I'm thinking, like, you know, the Tiny Toons, the Smurfs, the
Some of it works, some of it doesn't.
Okay.
One of the things that has worked is with Rowan is Batman.
The animated series.
Batman. I started him with, you have to do it, like, you have to introduce them to the concept of the thing first.
Okay.
Then introduce them to your version of it. So like for Rowan, there's an animated Batman series called Batman the Brave and the Bold, which is brilliant, by the way.
Okay.
It's a brilliant version. It's a cartoony, campy kind of kids version of Batman, but it's still like solid Batman stories, right?
Okay.
He also has a book called 5-Minute Batman Stories, and they're like, again, sort of campy comic book. Batman fights Joker or Batman fights Riddler, right?
Yep.
And we'll read those at night. And then I introduced him to Batman the Animated Series, and he was in it. He was okay. He was great because he recognized Batman.
Okay.
And so
as opposed
like,
to just being like, oh, here's Batman.
Yes, you have to introduce him to the concept of Batman through some other means first, and then you can. So now, like another one of the shows that we do watch is, I'm trying to get him into Star Wars a little bit. So we have the book right now. Before I can even get him to the movies, I need to do the other stuff first, right? So we have a couple books. We have a couple of like those gold bind books, the gold books, you know.
Yeah.
We have a 5-minute Star Wars. He knows the characters. He starts to recognize them, right? Like, so we were in Target the other day and there was a Darth Vader shirt. And I said, Ron, who's that? And he goes, Darth Vader. Like, so he knows.
Yeah.
He knows the characters. And so now every once in a while, I'll throw on the Clone Wars series because that's kind of like for kids.
Yeah.
And eventually, like, I don't really want to sit him down and watch the movies with him until he's old enough to understand them. But I will every once in a while throw on like some of the prequel movies because again they're sort of campy.
Oh yeah. They're not sort of campy. They're campy.
Yeah, they're campy. But he did. I was watching the Book of Boba Fett, the season finale of Book of Boba Fett, and it was during their nap, right?
Yeah.
And then it was like the last 10 minutes of the last episode, and Rowan woke up. So I was like, I'm just gonna put him on my lap and we'll finish the rest of it. And he was enthralled in it. No, it was like blasters and shit. And like, you know, it was an action scene. So of course, flashing lights and music. And yeah, of course that was, but he was in it. And so like, I have hope that it'll stick. And if it doesn't, it doesn't, you know, but I do Star Wars is, and Batman did. Batman definitely stuck though. He likes Batman a lot.
Now, everyone has varying degrees of free time, and obviously some more than others, but the abundance of choice is currently exponentially larger than our time to consume whatever it is we choose. Period. The end. Is this good? Is this bad? That's probably for the historians to determine for our culture overall, but for us individually, it's a personal battle. Sometimes it is good to do nothing. Sometimes to idle is the best thing you can do. Other times, balance can be found or is necessary. Whether you choose to do something new, like going to an airfield to learn how to soar in the air for an extended period of time, or picking up a book, listening to an album or a podcast, do what you need to. Even a sometimes overachiever workaholic like myself needs to spend some idle time every now and again. Often this idle time is the paralysis of not knowing what to do next, either for a project or just for entertainment purposes. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with idle. So I thank you for spending some of your time with myself and Rob. I hope you don't dwell too much on the in-between and you are on to the next thing for either work or for fun sooner than later. Just know that you aren't alone. We're all overwhelmed with everything. Thanks for listening to The Palmer Files, episode 94. And now for the official business. The Palmer Files releases every 2 weeks on Tuesdays. If you're still listening, I encourage you to join the discussion. You can find all related ways to contact myself and my guest, Robert Eskra, in the show notes. There you can find more information about Rob's online shenanigans, whether it be his Twitch or YouTube channels. Email can be sent to this show at thepalmerfiles@gmail.com. And remember, your home for all things Agent Palmer is agentpalmer.com. right, Rob, do you have one final question for me?
I do. It's kind of like a two-parter.
Sure.
All right. First, do you want kids? Second, boy or girl? Or if it's multiple, obviously.
All right. So I do want a child.
A child. Okay.
And I think that's because I am also a... As if you didn't, as if nobody figured out.
Anybody listening knows that.
That you didn't figure out I'm an only child. No, I want one. And I think that, because of my parents and specifically because of my mother. So it's not like my parents didn't try and get me a sibling. Well, like I'm the miracle child because my mother had like, I don't know, like 5 miscarriages.
Oh,
on either, I think 1 or 2 before me and then a bunch after me. So it's not like they didn't try.
Or it was okay to talk about it.
Yeah. But I also think that puts it into perspective of like, yeah, I want one, but I refuse to be choosy. Like I think because of that, I don't really care. So like at this point, it's like, if we have one, I would like to have one. And I say I would like to have one, but like there's an asterisk because it's not like there aren't twins in my family. So like there's always that chance.
Yeah, you want at least one.
I want at least one. I would like to max out at one. But like at that point, it's just like 5 fingers on each hand, 2 hands. But and that's it really. Cause like I feel like because of you and like other friends around me that have had kids, like it doesn't feel like, and I think it could also be because we've grown up and we're of age in an era where gender's not nearly as important as it was when we were born. I'll say that. So it's not necessarily this limiting factor that it used to be. So I don't think like it matters that much, but like definitely one.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason I really want to, I'm not good at not choosing a favorite. So like I really want one because then I don't have to.
That makes sense. I can speak to that. There is a part when we learned we were pregnant with the second one. There was a bit of panic that like, because it's this it's so hard to describe. Like I know it sounds cliche, but it's like you never realize you can actually like care for something so much.
Yeah.
And like, so we had the one, right, Rowan, and it's like he was our life.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh well, now we have to do this with the second one. How are we going to make the room? And it's like the legal concept of spouses owning a home. It's an undivided equal share. Like there is, you simultaneously like, and there are moments, don't get me wrong, there are moments where it's like, all right, today I like this one better. Or like even just like this 20 minutes, like you're my favorite and this other one sucks. But like at like those moments come and go, and it's like, and what's funny with our kids is that both Rowan and Ash will have mommy days and daddy days. And like where one day they're just obsessed with me. One of them will be obsessed with me and one of them will be obsessed with Jess, or both of them will be obsessed with me, and it's like, and it comes and goes and you never know what it's going to be like or like what influences that either.
Well, that's good to know because like I'm never going to say what I'm about to say is not equating pets with children because I know they're not the same. But I will say that for some reason, the cat, which was always Steph's cat, has chosen me. There hasn't been a Steph day. Since the cat made up his mind about me, it's been me. Like, I am the favorite.
Yeah, no, kids are kind of the same. Kids, well, I mean, again, like, there's also like, there's this general feeling that Rowan is more Jess's and Asher is more mine.
Okay.
And the only reason we say that is because that's from what we can tell thus far. Now they're still both very young. Jess has more, or Rowan has more of Jess's personality, and Asher has more of mine.
And it's kind of that like gravitating towards like.
Yes.
Okay.
So similar. And so it's like, because Jess and I, for as much as we have in common, have very different personalities, right? Like there are some major parts of our personalities which we differ, which is, I guess, one of the reasons why we do fit so well, because, you know, opposites attract and all that.
I can't. Yeah, I'm not going to say opposites attract, but like Steph is a very positive person. I'm not. And so like it kind of, I won't say like it works for everything, but I think generally speaking, it as a couple, it balances us out, right?
That's exactly, Jess and I are exactly the same way. There are some very core differences there between us. And those core differences, we can kind of see them developing in our children. And it's, you know, Rowan is more like Jess personality wise, and Asher is more like me personality wise. And so like, as they grow, that may be kind of the sort of default, but it doesn't mean that, like, again, I love Rowan any less, or I don't want to spend time with him any less.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Well, I would hope not, because you want to spend time with your wife. So like there's the similarities.
Exactly. And that's the thing. So there's probably going to be times where, because Asher is just like me, that he's going to piss me off to no end. Because I'll be witnessing the things that I see in myself and be like,
Yeah. No, I mean, and I don't, you know, I always joke that I don't know if the world's ready for another me anyway. So that's
maybe it doesn't have enough of you in it. That's the problem.
I don't.